don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this 511th episode of the Political Spotlight, coming to you live from the only upstairs basement lighthouse studios in the world. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey, and it is great to be with you. We're coming to you live on Sunday, August 24th, 2025. It is just right at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. For those of you that are watching live, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. We love to have you. It's so wonderful that you're giving us a little bit of your time. For those of you that are watching via replay in the future, well, we love that you're here doing that too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are so inclined to communicate with us this evening, if you are watching live, you can do so over here on the right-hand side. If you're here via the replay button in the future, you'll communicate with us down below, and we will get back to you. However, that's our promise to you. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a show planned for you this episode 511, MFD's internal fires. We're going to be talking about the City of Muncie Fire Department this evening. And I don't know if that's going to be it. I think that's just going to be it. I think that's going to be our main 1, 2, and 3 topic for this evening, because there's quite a bit to discuss. There's quite a bit of chaos going on. So, like, hey, look, this might make me in peril, put me in peril, because the firemen might not want to help me if I'm in a wreck or if I fall over, need help or something. I don't know. I believe that there's enough good people out there in the rank and file that'll do their job. But so because this show might be putting me in peril, I would ask that you at least go ahead and give me a like, click that thumb, give me a like right now up ahead of the show. You know, if something bad is going to happen to me, I might as well get some likes for it. You know, it's all about the clicks and views. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. So if you could do that, I would be very much appreciative. If you are not subscribed to the show, we have had an explosion of subscribers on various different platforms over the last couple of days. So I want to thank all of our new people, all of our new people. That would be great. I see you there, Jeremy. Yes, absolutely. You know it. You know it, baby. I love it. I love it. The dude abides. if there are anybody here from Blackford County, I know that a bunch of Blackford County people have been watching. I don't have any content for Blackford County tonight. I have been dealing with Blackford County stuff almost all weekend, and I'm putting together another show, which will probably be maybe Tuesday of this week. I don't foresee it being tomorrow. It could be. It could be as early as tomorrow, but it probably will be Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. I've got a meeting that I have to go to earlier in the evening on Wednesday, so it just depends. But I will let you know. I'll share it in the group and do all of that so you guys will have an understanding of what's going on. But that doesn't mean you have to skedaddle out of here. If you're from Blackford County, we will be talking about things. See, here's the good thing about what we do. The Political Spotlight talks about local, state, and national politics when it's something that we need to be talking about from any of those fronts. We talk about stuff from all over. Local doesn't just mean my neck of the woods. It could mean local to you or local to somebody in Nevada or wherever. If there's something interesting to talk about, we'll talk about it. Specifically in the state of Indiana, for the listeners in Indiana, anything that we talk about locally, while it might not pertain to you, the things that we talk about could be going on in your area, and the way that we look at fighting them and combating that could be useful to you. So I always tell people, just because we're not talking about where you lay your head at night on any given episode doesn't mean it's not something that you can't use. So keep that in your mind. But that's that. So I can't deal with this. I've got a new laptop in the mix. So we've got the camera here and my Mac right here in front of me. We've got my monitor here. The laptop I use is a monitor over here and for things. And then now I have this new. Look, I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here, and this drives me crazy. It's too much me. I'm going to have to shut some me down. Take a look at how crazy this is. And I had my phone on too. Look at this. I'll show you here what I was just looking at. It's like a little too much, but it is what it is. So, okay. I'm trying to think. We're getting ready to take a deep dive into some craziness. And I want to say before we get too into it, I want to say as a disclaimer that I generally give. I want to give a disclaimer, so we're going to do that. That way people understand what's going on. Oh yeah, look at this. This is what I was just looking at. Look at that. That's too much me on the screen. I need to shut some of that down. We're working on it there, Stumblefoot. We're working on it. I've got a layout in my mind. I'll be honest. I'm going to tell you what it is. The reason I'm not coming to you live from an amazingly cool studio, I've got it in my mind. I've plotted it out, is just sheer laziness. And it's not really laziness. It's the fact that I could take time to do that, but every time I start to do that, it like takes me away from looking into something from the city. I'm like a light switch. I've got on off. I'm either looking into corruption and looking into politics, or I'm asleep. And like there's no real place in there for anything else. So that's kind of the problem. So I am getting ready. I'm going to let you know. I'm just now getting ready to start planning it. It's not going to be this weekend, and we're gonna do it. It won't be that big a deal. Not this weekend. Not the weekend of Friday the 29th, to Saturday the 30th, Sunday the 31st, or the holiday September 1st. But maybe the second weekend. So that would be Friday the 12th, Saturday the 13th, Sunday the 14th, and maybe Monday the 15th. So, I don't know, somewhere in there. Maybe Thursday. I'm looking to take off and go on a little mini vacation. So if we miss any dates in there, I'll try to see if we can schedule Catherine to come in and do a show or something. She's been chomping at the bit to do that. So we'll see what we're going to do. And also, keep in mind, we have the big announcement, not the big announcement, the big drop. Not yesterday. Yesterday it was 23rd, 30th, 6, 13, 20. Okay, so 5 weeks from yesterday. So just a little over a month. 5 weeks from yesterday will be the official dropping of our new show, the Bilbrey. Let me put this down. I need this for a very special thing here. Let me make sure I can do it. Yeah, okay. So for the 5th week will be for the Bilbrey show, and so that will be on Saturday the 27th at 3 p.m. So keep a lookout for there. As we get closer, obviously, I'll start telling you where you need to go and do all of that stuff. So keep that in mind. Okay, I need to pull up some notes here. Oh crap! This is a lot of notes here. I didn't even know it was going to be like this. That's okay. Okay, that's what I asked for. So is Troy Ingram the co-host? No, I've already announced it's a female. It is a female. So the female will be the co-host. And some of you may know who this person is. Some of you may not. I don't know. It'll be interesting. But all right. So for tonight's episode, I don't know. She's some mouthy person that's there in the comments talking. I don't know who she is. Anyways, for tonight's show, I want to start off by saying this. We're going to be talking about the Muncie Fire Department. We're going to be talking about various actions and things that have come up and come to my understanding in the last in the last couple of months, things that have come to mind that I've been hearing from. We're going to be talking about all of this, and some of these things are, and I will tell you the difference when we're talking about the issues. Some of these things are 100% absolutely known fact. These things have happened. They're out there. It's an issue, and it's a problem. Some of these things that we'll be talking about are kind of going around the rumor mill, but they're going around the rumor mill between people that are sources of mine that have always been factual in the past, have never been astray. They're people that I trust. And so I'm going to put the caveat on this show. There are things that I'm going to say that you might say, no, that's not happening. There's no way that's not happening. You're wrong. It's okay for you not to believe or take what I'm saying. I am not a journalist. I have never been a journalist. I have never claimed to be a journalist. I am an opinion commentator. Okay? And the reason we're talking about the things that we're talking about tonight is because this is very much everything that I'm going to be talking about tonight. All the people that are at fault and that I put blame on, they all share that blame with another individual, and that individual is the mayor of Muncie. Everything that we're going to be talking about tonight rolls right uphill to Dan Ridenour. Normally shit rolls downhill, except in the political world. The political world is the only place where physics doesn't work the same way, and that shit rolls uphill. So Dan Ridenour will be at the end of every, you know, that old story, there's a monster at the end of this book. Well, we get to the end, and there might be lots of other monsters, but the monster that is definitely there at the end of every chapter is also Dan Ridenour. So that's the reason we're talking about this, because this is a leadership issue, and that leadership is the deputy chief, the chief, and the person that put those people in power. So that's the reason that we're talking about this. And number two, because these people are public servants being paid by tax dollars. And the big thing is they're asking right now for lots of money, and there's a lot of things going on. So this is something that needs to be, people need to be aware of. And if everybody remembers back in the mid 10s, in the like 2010, 12, 13, 14, 15, the Muncie Police Department had a really, really bad reputation. And it really came to a head in 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. And the Muncie Police Department has worked to kind of turn things around. The fire department has always had a really kind of sterling reputation. They've always been pretty good. And then it seems like the police department went through their craziness, and they've now turned it around. While there might be issues and things that we're not specifically happy with here or there, for the most part, they've turned things around. And now it's like the fire department's turn to kind of like someone needs to, yank a knot in someone's tail, and somebody needs to figure some shit out. And we need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to get the fire department back under control. And that comes from the mayor, that comes from the chief, the deputy chief, and the other leadership within the fire department, down through the rank and file. Now, he's saying that. I want to start out by saying, I love the men and women of the Muncie Fire Department and the EMS personnel, okay? They do a wonderful job. I've always enjoyed the company of a lot of these people, talking to them, being around them. A lot of them, the majority of them, are hardworking men and women that bust their ass, that do things to make the city and the county as a whole a better place. I respect the hardworking men and women of the fire department. And I also am not coming to this from a place of just totally not understanding. Like, I get it, what they're doing and what they do on a day-to-day, day in and day out basis is a tough job. The shit that they see, the things that go on, it's rough. And I understand that there are times they need to have, gallows humor or like let off some steam and, do whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. The number one thing is, if you're doing something a little untoward, a little something you shouldn't be doing, The thing that you want to do is, number one, not get caught. Don't get caught. If you're doing something stupid, have a little bit of fun, okay? Have a little bit of fun. Do your thing, but don't hurt anybody. Don't get caught and move on, all right? But if you're doing something and it's hurting people, if you're doing things and it's taking away from the professionalism, if it's giving you, your coworkers, and your department a black eye, then maybe that shouldn't be happening. One apple spoils the bunch. That's very true. That's very true. So, love the men and women of the Muncie Fire Department, as I do the police department, the sheriff's department, carry on. Love public service. But we've got to talk about these things, and this stuff is important. So, first up, I want to say probably the biggest issue that I have is in 2019, when I first started coming back into Muncie politics, when I moved back from Winchester. And I started taking a look at what was going on. That was when there was the big push for fire-based EMS. And I was first very much against it. I was against fire-based EMS. And I started not just listening to the talking points, but I started getting in and digging in and looking at the call runs from the Delaware County EMS, what the fire department was saying. I started looking. Brad. Oh, God. Oh, like 10 years ago, bro. Where you been? That's hilarious. I started looking at all of the documentation being put out. And when I turned off the noise and I stopped listening to the people that I was friends with, people that I liked and respected, when I started looking at what was going on, okay, I realized fire-based EMS made sense. Having the Muncie Fire Department offer this service was just, honestly, it was strange. It wasn't already happening. It hadn't already happened. It was the natural progression, and it made sense. Furthermore, I very much believe that if a smaller section of government feels that they can provide a service to the people of their city, who is anyone else to say, no, you can't do that? So the big issue was, well, the Delaware County didn't want the city of Muncie doing this because they was going to take away from them or do this or that. Well, I'm sorry about you, but if the city of Muncie wants to provide EMS service to its citizens, that's a good thing. And everybody said, oh, they're going to be subpar. It's not going to be good. It's going to be horrible. They're going to kill people. It's going to be bad. I'm going to want to stick to Delaware County. If I have an issue, I'm calling Delaware County. I won't use Muncie Fire-based EMS, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what happened. September 30th, 2019, the fire-based EMS, the program was kicked off. And from that day through really about 2023, maybe 24, the program did really well. It did well by its patients. It did well by the city. It raised money. And things were going really well. Now you look at it, and we've got a lot of people that are doing the EMS medical services that have messed up, putting tubing in people's airway. You've got patients that have died. You've got people giving people wrong medicine and things that happen. Listen, let's be honest. In the world of public safety, when you've got police officers running in and making split-second calls, and you've got firemen running in and making split-second calls, and you've got paramedics running in and making split-second calls, bad things are going to happen. When you're dealing with somebody that's called the paramedics, and it's a life and death situation, and you're now rushing this person to the hospital at lightning speed, running signal 10, running lights and sirens, and you've got all the stuff going on in the back of the bus and back of the ambulance and carrying on, and all the stuff's going on. There are going to be times when something goes wrong, and that's just part of it. You want to do everything that you can to limit that stuff. And if you're dealing with people where time after time these issues are going on, you maybe need to reevaluate. But that's going to happen. But it seemed like in about 2023, 2024, the fire-based Muncie Fire Department EMS program started running not where they had been from 19, 20, 21, 22 into 23. It started being a little shaky. A little rough for some reason. And the biggest issue that I have is you now have people who were yelling against fire-based EMS out here saying, see, we told you this was going to be a shit show. We told you this was going to be bad from the very start. And what kills me about this is that's not true. It was doing well. It was going up and up and up and up and up, and it was doing good. The Muncie Fire Department EMS program. And then something happened. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. And now, there's still a lot of good people there, and they're still doing a lot of great things. But there's also a lot of chaos. And so I just hate hearing these people saying, we told you it was going to be like this. We told you it was going to be like this. Because I think that you could make some tweaks within the Muncie City Fire Department. And the EMS program would switch. And that's my belief. But that's not the only issue. There are problems with the fire department. There are problems with the EMS service. And it all really comes back to leadership. Okay. So why am I talking about this? Well, at the end of last week, as we got through the end of the week, last week was a really crazy ass busy week for me. I had been being contacted by a couple of different sources. Yeah, Cindy, absolutely. From what period? Do you know from what time to what time? I'd be interested to know what time. So I started being contacted by different people. Now there's going to be people out there, and I cannot say who, but I talked with a guy today, and if he's watching this, I hope he knows. I only talked to one person today about this that was a man. So if you're out there listening to this and you're hearing this tonight or tomorrow, whenever, and you are a man that talked to me about the fire department, then you know that I'm talking directly to you. When the information that I'm getting ready to talk about came to me at the end of this weekend, at the start of the weekend, it came to me from separate people. It didn't just come from the person who I posted it. it came from different people, completely unrelated. Yeah, we're gonna get into that, Jackie. That's what we're talking about. Is the quality of has the quality of service declined? Are patient safety care being compromised? Facts, please. Well, listen, we're gonna go through what's at stake, and then really this is a situation where you guys are gonna have to make up your mind. I'm telling you, before doing this show, I would have had no problem picking up the phone and calling the men and women of the EMS service and feeling like they would do a good job. But there are some issues that people need to be aware of, and the fire department needs to be aware of. And so some of these are going to be issues that have to do with care, and some of them don't. So I'm gonna give you a just where we're starting from and march forward from there. So at the end of last week, I was contacted by a couple of different people who had told me that there was an issue going on in the Muncie Fire Department and that it wasn't really being dealt with appropriately. So there was a post that went along with this that said, please share and get the word out. I've posted this in the what, and this is not me talking. I'm reading this from a person. I've posted this in the WhatsApp Muncie, but a firefighter got upset and had reported it and removed it quickly. So, let's try here. In the latest round of things that Chief Burford doesn't handle correctly, this is that person's words, not mine. Muncie firefighter Sergeant Kevin Gibson took a personal iPad of a female coworker. So her personal iPad, not a work iPad, but her personal iPad, took a picture of his genitals and then put it on the device, like saved it as like the background or the wallpaper or something like this. All right, let's see what this is. DCEMS required all employees to be advanced EMTs in the first year. Burford won't require all in Muncie to even be basic EMTs. Clearly, that would speak towards better service. So, wait a minute. So, you're saying two-turn MVP. You're saying... I want to back up here and make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying DCEMS required all employees to be advanced EMTs in the first year. You're saying, however, that Burford won't require all Muncie, EMS to even be basic EMTs. Clearly, and I don't know, I can't speak to the if that's true or not. That's just obviously in the comments. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I can only take your word for it. Now, can you answer this? Prior to Burford being the chief, and I'm going to tell you, I was not a fan of Meade. So who have the Chiefs been under Ridenauer? Under Ridenauer, the Chiefs have been... Okay. So, Dave Miller was Ridenauer's first chief. Al Williams was the deputy chief. Then came Robert Meade. And who was the deputy chief under Meade? Yeah, Burford's the third pick. And you are right. Listen, I'm going to tell you, that's the problem. That's the main problem here. And right there, two-turn MVP and Rachel Clark have stated this, and this is very true. The problem is Burford is running this department and is not even an EMT himself. So as far as knowing and having a complete understanding of the EMS program, that's a problem. That's a problem. Unless he's received it in the last couple of years. 2-turn MVP, do you know? Is that something that he has received in the last couple of years? And I want to be very clear. Personally, I have always liked Dan Burford. I have never had a problem with Dan Burford. There was actually a time that I thought that I wanted Burford to be chief. But as he has been chief, there have been things that have happened that I really have to question why these things are going on. Okay? Let me see this. Brenda says, Red Keys Fire Department let the business entity lapse in 2028 from the Secretary of State. Then they should have applied for nonprofit. They did not. So 17 years. Oh. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, that does not sound good. No, and there are firefighters that are not EMT basic. Burford has never tested for a chief officer. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that too. So there are some firefighters that think they know better than trained paramedics. Hose and Clark would have had a person. So when you're saying, can we also use first names? Because I know some of these names, but not even all of them do I know. So when you're saying Hose, I'm assuming you're talking about Pat Hose. What Clark are you referring to? There are some firefighters that think they know better than trained paramedics. Hose and Clark would have had a person dead because they didn't want to let paramedics stabilize the patient before travel. And so I'm assuming that we're all talking at these points about things that have happened in the field. I'm going to try to stick. You guys continue to write all of that down. Patrick Hose and Darren Clark. Okay. Kate, if there's something major, like star it, and we'll come back to it. But I'm going to try to get on track here. So this first thing that happens says Sergeant Kevin Gibson basically took an iPad of a female employee and took a picture of his genitalia, his private parts, with this and synced it, put it on her iPad. She wasn't at work. She was at home. Like a lot of people, my iPad syncs to my phone. So essentially what happened is the minute this happened, the genitalia came to her personal device. Now, think about what that means if her child is playing with her phone. I don't even know if she has children, but I'm just imagining in my mind a situation where you have a female coworker and she has children and they're playing with her phone, and then all of a sudden a coworker's genitalia pops up on the phone. I'm telling you what, I would be a really mad person. I mean, I wouldn't have contacted bosses. I would have went there with sharp scissors and taken care of the problem or something. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. This is the problem. So let me tell you what's going on here, and we'll tell you where we went from here. So the original commenter said this was reported to Chief Burford, and the poster said he's taken no action against the sergeant. Furthermore, he allowed the sergeant to continue to be around the victim. Doesn't the city of Muncie have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment? The collective bargaining agreement between the city of Muncie and Local 1348 also expressly prohibits this behavior. Chief Burford, in previous cases, immediately suspended Lieutenant Renz for sexual harassment and prevented him access to the victims. He subsequently made sure that this was very public and moved immediately for termination. Gibson was then allowed to continue showing up for shift at the same station and as the victim was at. I'm sure this was traumatic for her and steps should have been taken to remove him. Da 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 da. Okay, since this has happened, I will tell you that I have heard from folks that have said, I'm going to tell you that essentially what happened was this. I'm gonna put this on the screen so you can see this. Or not, I'm not gonna put it on the screen, but I'm just gonna show you here. This is the fire department's schedule. So you see where it's like green, black, green, red, black, green, black. So each one of those is a turn, like the color's coded. And I don't know specifically. Let's just say for the sake of argument that green is turn 1 and black is red is turn 2 and black is turn 3. I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm just making that up. But apparently the incident occurred on Friday the 15th. Friday the 15th, which meant that the firefighter was on the red turn. And then the person that got this message on her phone then came into work on the 16th and had to deal with it, obviously. She then reported it. On the 16th to the chief. And apparently an email or several emails were sent out, apparently by the victim and other command staff. I don't know who those were. I'm in the process of trying to get them. I'll let you know if I do get them. They would have had to interact at changeover on 3 occasions. So it would have been that first time she came in. Then when he came back in on the 17th. Then when she came back in on the 18th. Okay? And so let's pause here for a second because I'm hearing from the president of the union, and here's what I'm hearing from the president of the union. He didn't mean to send it to her. He wasn't trying to send it to her. He was trying to do it to one of his friends, a male coworker. So let's stop for a second. It's okay, right? He didn't mean to do it to the female coworker. He was trying to do it to his friend John Doe. And John Doe is like, oh, okay, I'm okay with this being on my iPad and coming to my phone. So, and listen, this is the same thing I said today. It's not a pleasant thought, but this is just the seriousness of it. Men and women at work, appropriate or not, do stupid shit. They mess around on the clock. They do stuff to blow off steam and all of that. Okay. But you've really got to talk about what it is. There's horseplay, and then there's things that there's zero tolerance for. Okay. And as we're hearing, there's zero tolerance in the collective bargaining agreement for things like this. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, firefighters are held to a higher standard. Absolutely. At the end of the day, did somebody die because of this? No. But this is still something that needs to be addressed. Was it addressed? Right. And that's the right, Tweety Bird. Whether he meant to do it on his buddies or not, it still was on her device. Okay. But whoever's device he hoped to do it on, that's the problem there. Okay. That's the issue. So who's to say she didn't entice this? Well, you know, who's to say she didn't? I don't know if she did or didn't. That's kind of like saying the woman who got raped asked for it because she was wearing a skirt. You know, if she did entice it, then that's a problem. That shouldn't be going on. But from the way that she acted and from what she did, I don't believe she enticed it. And I get what you're saying. I definitely get what you're saying. And that's why an investigation has to be ran. Now, what I heard today, and I'm not saying where this came from, but what I heard from someone who is kind of in the know, was no, I know to the point. I know. I mean, I know you were just playing devil's advocate. I get it. I understand you're not saying that. But what I was told today by somebody who's in the know said, well, Chief Burford acted as fast as he could. He couldn't act on the weekend because the HR director wasn't in. And to that I say, the Sergeant Gibson never talks to the HR director. Sergeant Gibson is a union fireman. The HR director has nothing to do with him. Chief Burford can send that person home instantly. Can give him I don't know what it's called off the top of my head for firemen, but for example, say a fireman goes to a really bad call and somebody's burnt up and he has to deal with it. They can give him like an immediate day off. Burford can give him up to 10 days off without there being other action, I believe, as far as suspension. They didn't have to wait until Monday when City Hall officials got in there. That had nothing to do with that. Okay. And so that's not like, that's not a thing. I can't even believe that's what I was told. When the higher-ups contacted Chief Burford about this, the night of the Saturday the 16th, that was an issue. So this gets posted, and I'm going to tell you, there was some rumor floating around because so then I'm going to show you on this. Let me do this like this so you guys can see it so I can stop holding the phone up. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Give me 1 second. What is going on here? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay. So if you look at this, the incident occurred on the 15th. That's when the picture was taken. No, yeah, total madness. That's exactly right. When it pops up on John Doe's phone while his kids are playing with it, is it okay? No, that's exactly the point I was making. Yeah, I cannot believe that the politically minded, politically genius, the political genius boy, the president of the union would say those words and think that makes sense, because saying, oh, we didn't intend for it to happen to a female, he intended for it to happen to a male, that to me is an insane statement. Okay. So the picture was taken on the 15th. The victim then comes in and works the 16th. She makes the complaint on the 16th. Her supervisors make the complaint on the 16th. Okay, so it's known to the chief. The picture taker then comes back in on the 17th. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, Two-Turn. So Sergeant Gibson is on Chafin's turn. Chafin is the union president. And is that Two-Turn? Is that Two-Turn? Is that right? That they're on, that we're talking about? So then she comes back in on Monday the 18th. And as you can see, his turn, he's red. Red is Two-Turn. Yeah, right. Kate, that's exactly right. I think we got to put in a public act. If anybody out there has any of these pictures, I don't want them, but send them to me. We'll have them. People will tell you you're not to, but I'm telling you, send them to me, because we'll deal with it. So you can see that the red guy, the Sergeant Gibson, does not then work until the 22nd. Well, I have been told today that he was put on, or told yesterday really, that he was suspended on the 21st. So wait a minute. Let's take a look at this. I know it sucks to the point, but I'm just saying. There's been a lot more crazy shit like that. It's a weird world. So he does this on Friday the 15th. It's reported on Saturday the 16th. And he's not suspended until Thursday the 21st. Now, what they're saying is, but he wasn't working. He wasn't working. Look, I don't care if he wasn't working or not. He wasn't in trouble until the 21st. And I know that you can't just take it straight away. You got to do a little bit of, there's got to be an investigation. Like there's got to be an initial investigation. And then you act to keep both parties away from each other. And then you do the longer investigation and you deal with it upon the conclusion of that investigation. I think not suspending him until the 21st was crazy. And there were rumors, I'm going to tell you right now, there were rumors that they were going to backdate his suspension until like the day that he got like the 17th, or when he got off on the 18th. But because this had been made such a big deal of, and someone in the, I'm just going to be honest, I've heard someone in the upper ranks of the department has said that the main reason that did not happen was because the attention that I've brought to it. And I'm going to tell you, well, we'll get to that in a second. So this then's kind of sent down the rabbit hole, because this has kind of been like the straw that broke the camel's back. There's been a lot of things going on with the fire department. Look back to the big fight to whether or not we redo one station out of there's 7 stations in Muncie, and we take $9 million to redo one station. Now we're hearing rumors that Dan Ridenour is wanting to approach the council to set up the process to start redoing a second station. First of all, we don't even have the first one done. Second of all, we don't know what the total amount of it's going to be. I still think it'll be over $9 million. I'll be shocked if it's not over $9 million. And third of all, it's like, why are we spending that much money on any one fire station? We could have really did a lot of work to several stations if we spread that money out, and we didn't have to make this station the quote unquote Taj Mahal of stations, which it appears as though we are really doing. If anybody's been past the station, man, it's gonna be a nice station, and it should be. I mean, it looks like it's going to be the number one station, honestly. Okay. That then takes us into other issues that have happened, and this isn't the first story of genitalia being messed with within the fire department. Okay, now I'm trying to there is a story of not too long ago, a female employee of the fire department. I don't know if she is a female firefighter or is female EMS, but she actually brought in her cricket. You know what a cricket is? Everybody out there know what a cricket is? A cricket is a little machine that allows you to put pictures on things. Like you can design it can be used to make shirts or it's kind of like embroidery, but it's not embroidery. It like puts a hot sticker or something on it. I don't know. It makes it like washable, but it's like a lot of women have these things to make designs and things. Well, she brought this cricket in to put a cartoon picture. I was originally told it was another picture, an actual picture of genitalia, but she actually brought in this cricket to put a design of, again, male genitalia on a coworker's pillow, and they did this in the station. My question is, when you're not out giving CPR and fighting fires and doing all of that, is there not something more important that we could be doing on our downtime at the station? Could we not be learning like better techniques to do CPR or better techniques to put in airways and things like that? Could we not be training? Like what are we doing here? Take a look at this, Kate. I sent it to you in Messenger. So they did that on the I don't know. I was going to put it up, but I don't think it would be terms of service. So I think I'll keep it down. What I'll tell you is, if you guys want to Kid Rock, it's like Chicago Fire. It truly is like Chicago Fire or Grey's Anatomy. They just can't help themselves. So these pictures that I have of these random things that are not X-rated, it's just stupid crap. If you want to see these after the show, I will post them on my Facebook, and so you can see them there. So that's that. That then, ladies and gentlemen, leads to all of the other issues within the fire department that have been happening over the last little bit. And I'm getting ready to run down there, which will kind of be an answer to Jackie's question. Hold on a second. What? Give me a second. Let me find out. I had, hold on. Okay, sorry, I just had to message there. So let me give you a let me see here. Should be their logos. You said check my Facebook. All the facts are there of current MFD actions. Okay. So give me a second here. Let me pull this up. So the Kevin Gibson situation on the pillow is just one example. If you want to look to the question of whether or not the EMS service is good, bad, where it stands, what's going on, we have to look no further than the most recent appointment to the fire department as EMS chief. And that is let me pull that up. Okay, let me show you this. Mike Crisp, Stan. Well, it's not exactly completely opinion based. Some of this is my opinion. Some of these are factual statements. So the factual statement is we have a chief that is not an EMT, and part of his department is an EMS program which handles a lot of calls for service. And the fact that he is apparently not even up to par with what needs to be going on there is a major problem. Let's talk about this new EMS chief that they put in place. The new EMS chief, let me tell you, are we aware that no, Dustin and Aaron Clark are not related? Clark is a very common last name, apparently. They put this woman here in charge of the EMS department. Okay, civilian paramedic Danica Henderson has been appointed as the new EMS chief for the city of Muncie Fire Department. This was on July 17th. Now, remember, she was appointed the new fire EMS chief because the last fire EMS chief was arrested while he was chief. All right. That in and of itself is a problem. Okay. And let's be clear on what they call this woman. The leader and the EMS chief of the program by the rank and file of the EMS and fire department. She's called Downgrade Danica. Downgrade Danica. I wonder why they. I certainly don't believe they would be referring to her by that name because they believe that she is wonderful and is going to bring all kinds of new logic and experience and training to the program. It seems like calling her downgrade Danica would be a slight, and probably they don't respect her, and that seems like it would be a major problem. And let's not forget that prior to being appointed to this EMS position, she had 2 instances of where she had not been able to properly insert tubing into patients' airways, and that caused serious issues. So that is a major problem. No, Aaron Clark is not related to them. He's not in that mix. However, he is related to the man that is responsible for the project manager for the fire station, on the new fire station at 6's fire station. So that's interesting. I want to look here and bring up this incident. Let me see here. So let me tell you about a situation. If you recall, I said that the EMS was doing fine 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and then it started to kind of falter 2023, 2024. And this is the fire department as really as a whole started having issues around this point. Let's talk about an incident that occurred on January 23rd, 2023. Around 7 p.m., Medic 1 was involved in a motor vehicle accident at the intersection of McGalliard and Wheeling. 3rd Battalion was on duty at the time. Response to the scene included Truck 7 and Battalion Chief. Off-duty response from the Chief, Rob Mead, Dan Burford, and Wes Miller. Rob Mead arrived from the south on Wheeling with lights and sirens activated. That's called Signal 10. Multiple people reported the smell of alcohol and bloodshot eyes, slurred speech from Rob Mead. An internal memo was generated by persons on scene. No blood alcohol testing was conducted and no police department was consulted. Mead was allowed to leave the scene in an emergency vehicle. There was no investigation or subsequent testing performed. A blind eye was turned by then Deputy Chief Burford, who is now the current chief of the department. Okay. Body camera footage should be requested for this wreck, and hopefully it captures Mead. However, there are multiple witnesses that can corroborate the observation, and per policy, if 2 people suspect an employee is under the influence of drugs and or alcohol, they must be sent for testing. This, at the very least, was ignored, and this was a major incident. Okay, and there's issue after issue after issue with this, with the Muncie City Fire Department, which is leading to a problem or leading to a situation where the city is going to be in a really bad situation where something occurs and we lose our ass on the back end of a lawsuit. And it's really a problem. Now, Mead is no longer chief. Everything's wonderful, right? Things are all good. No, nothing bad's happening. No, that's not quite true. And again, I'm not dinging the fire department. You're going to have issues, and there are going to be issues. I'm dinging the leadership of the fire department, up to and including the mayor of the city of Muncie. I feel like it's so strange with Dan, because Dan is someone that is such a control freak. He has to have his hands in everything and on everything. And he's just completely hands off of the fire department. Now, let's talk about this new situation with a 400% increase of the rates and everything that's going through. This was pushed through. It was something that needed to be looked at more. It needed to be examined. It should have been tabled. It should not have been jammed through the way it was. And that is a major, major problem. So let me ask you like this, Mike. Mike, are you saying, so you believe that Burford's the best chief, and that's who we have, and that we are locked in and everything's great, right? Is that what you're saying? Putting the shoe on the other foot. You believe that Burford is the best that there is, and we're good with who we've got, right? Well, that's the big thing. All of this money grabbing going on is all so we can not talk about putting new EMS personnel on, or not trying to get better training or better equipment for these people. It's all for this big push to buy a truck that is honestly not needed, and not the way that they're going about it. Let's see here. Give me a second here. So probably one of the biggest issues that I have would be the fact that there seems to be, and it's been this way for a very long time, and I don't know enough of the ins and outs of the fire department to know why this is. Maybe people that are here can answer this. But there seems to be this underlying issue of there are all of these problems that happen, and of course there's difference in how punishment is doled out depending on if you're on first turn, second turn, or third turn. And what it seems as if second turn is in a situation where they all cling together and they're against the other two turns. They never get in trouble. The things that they do things to protect themselves and to push shit over on first turn or third turn. And the leadership allows that to happen. The leadership allows for there to be this kind of internal struggle between the fire department, between themselves, where there should be, more camaraderie, and they should, help each other. And look, I get it. I get you're going to get a situation where it's like an us versus them type of situation to a certain degree. But like the craziness that's went on between Second Turn and everyone else is really crazy within the fire department. I don't know if maybe there needs to be someone go in and bust this up and change all of this shit out and spread people up, fixing this problem. I don't know if that would do it, but that needs to be a major thing that's looked at. Why there's so much shit that goes on where two-turn are the ones that are doing the harassment of people or going after people. Their two-turns are only happy if their people are promoted. And it's really, really crazy that is not handled from a leadership position, that the leadership of the department does not work to weed that out. Here. Okay. Okay, quality has declined because Burford is spending money on new trucks and a tower that will take very few calls a year, but not updated any EMS monitors, stretchers. We're still dealing with some of the same ambulances that Rachel Clark bought back in 2019, which is wildly insane. The fact that they have not bought any like major new equipment, monitors and stretchers. So going back to Jackie's point, is there a decrease in care? That fact alone is concerning. How about they interview and be willing to hire from outside? Total madness. I'm going to put something up here on the screen that absolutely speaks to what you're talking about there. I'm going to show you this. Back in 2019, Muncie, then sitting city councilor Dan Ridenour, when running for mayor of Muncie, he promised these things. He promised to improve communication. He promised to improve transparency. He promised to improve accountability, which he has done none of. He promised to slow the government down, which he's not done that. He sped it up. He sped things up so fast, it's off the charts. We're just getting ready to spin off out into space. He promised to improve the relationship between city and county, which did not happen in 2020. It got worse in 2021, worse in 2023. 2024, it started to maybe look like it was going to improve because Stephen Brand was running for commissioner. And then now in the beginning months of this year, it looked like things were going to be better. But now we're almost back to a weird part because Dan has issues with Brand and Matt Kantz, like looking like they're double teaming him and all of this stuff. So now we're kind of back at a shaky position. And then past that, past better relationships between the city and county, the one and probably the worst is he stated he would put the best people in place. He said that he was not looking to always hire from the inside. He would interview people from the outside, and he would bring people in from the outside if and when they were better. And he has never done that. all of the people that he's put in, I would, in a lot of places, were not the best people. And I have an entire list. Of names that he put in places in his leadership positions, and they ended up leaving. They ended up getting fired, asked to leave. They ended up leaving on bad terms because he failed to do number 6. He failed to do number 5. He failed to do number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1. Like someone said on there, he is 0 for 6. And it's Joe Black. He's 0 for 6. And it is totally insane that he's done that. So, that would make a big difference if he would actually look at taking someone from outside the department. You know, big cities, New York, California, like LA, big cities, Chicago, Miami, very rarely do they take a police chief from the rank and file. They generally appoint someone to the chief's position from outside the area to come in and to clean house and to kick ass and to shape the shit up. We don't ever do that. We run Muncie like a small town. And that's the mentality that we have, and that happens on the police department, the fire department. There's no reason why Dan couldn't do something like that. Let's see here. 2-turn members of the fire department on 2-turn constantly refuse to get out of fire trucks to take EMS calls. They won't help medics. A captain on 2-turn made an ambulance turn around and bring back a fireman that was riding in the back, helping an ambulance crew with a critical patient because a fire alarm call came out. That fireman should have stayed his ass in the back of the truck and helped in that situation. Last year, the fire department, the EMS unit of the fire department started taking 15,000 more calls a year, and not once has any chief associated with the department dealing with fire-based EMS asked for more firemen. Oh, no, not just EMS calls, the fire department as a whole. The whole fire department to start taking 15,000 more calls a year, and not once has any chief related to the fire department in this time asked for more firemen. Rachel Clark says, I was not going to weigh in on this because I am long gone, but I have a perfect example of how things are treated differently, and I have proof from a federal complaint. Yeah, what? What? Here's what we should do. I don't know if you're up to it. I should call you and you should come on and talk for just a few minutes. You don't have to come on visually. You could just talk to me over the phone. What do you think about that? We're almost done, but you could, I'm sure you could add some insight to this. All right, I'm calling you. Stand by.
Are you there?
Yes, are you there?
Yeah, it kind of sounds echoey, and I don't know that I can help you, but
That's your problem, not mine. Can you hear me?
I can.
Have you turned caller? Turn your radio down.
Okay, it's down.
Like you've turned off the way that you were hearing me.
Yes.
That's probably why it's echoing.
You
Is it
said
bet-
like you turned down your hearing aid.
Yeah. Is it better now?
It still kind of sounds, but it's also I'm down south, so it may be just where I'm at.
Okay.
Would it be better? Can you talk on a regular phone?
No.
Okay. See. Okay.
So, do you want to tell people who you are?
I am way long ago the EMS chief at Muncie Fire. I have
You
not been
mean
there for many years.
the originator?
Do what?
The originator.
I was the EMS chief that was hired, yes, to start the ambulances.
Donald Watson says a new ambulance can run $250,000 in Anderson. All money made by EMS stays within the fire department. So that's probably a pretty good thing to speak to. So when you guys first started this, am I right or am I wrong? The money made by EMS was initially supposed to stay within the EMS portion, right?
Yeah. So when we went to council, there was obviously a lot of naysayers within the community that, that was the big complaint. And it was that it won't make money. It will, we'll lose money. That's what people had said. So Chief Bell and Mayor Tyler and myself were talking, and that's where we announced to council, or we had said at council, hey, we'll just put it in a non-revert. That way, we assume the loss, because taxpayer money was not used for that, from like MFD. It was not like budgeted into the budget. Center Township, it was a big debate because Center Township money was used, and we put it in a non-revert so that money would go into EMS and fire. I mean, that it was both. And I don't know that it's still in a non-revert. I don't know.
Okay. And so I don't know if it's that way or not. I'll have to look into that. But so, I mean, obviously you're not there. When did you quit? When did you separate out from the fire department?
October of, was it 22? It was right after Hurricane Ian, whatever year Hurricane Ian was.
22? September of 22?
Yeah, it was right after Ian, so it was October.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you've been gone for a minute, but like, I know that just how things happen, you hear things. So what are some changes that you believe has happened? What are changes that you believe have happened since you've left that should be worrisome to people?
I think, and this was even an issue or a concern while I was there. They had 110 personnel and we hired a medic for every ambulance. But like you talked about, the call volume increased substantially. And there has been no additional firemen added, and that was something that I supported of, hey, we need more firemen. You get burnout. It's not safe. The amount of overtime that is being spent from the budget to go to pay the overtime of these guys that are working, 3 days. And I don't know what their rule is. If it's 3 days straight, 4 days straight, I honestly can't remember. But, when you're working 324, 24-hour shifts in a row, that's not healthy or safe. Or I'm not going to say it's not. It just potentially could not.
It could potentially
if
be a problem.
You have
sure
4 busy days.
Sure, absolutely.
And I had seen on your show where they were asking, that there was going to be a request for a safer grant. I don't know if that's true or not. On, like to staff this ladder tower that
Yeah.
they're wanting to buy. But I would think, as the mayor and the chief, that they would want more people. And I just actually found out from watching that they have added an ambulance 7, medic 7. So, when we started out, there was supposed to be 3, and then the county withdrew. So we had to go in with 5 ambulances. Then we added a 6th, we added a medic 1. And then now there's a medic 7. So you've got 7 ambulances that are requiring 7 extra firemen per day on trucks that they did not have. And, from
But you're still
2019
working
till
with the
now, I
same
feel
amount
like
of
they've had
people.
plenty of time to get it together and find a way to budget that in, especially when having the non-revert money there. There was millions of dollars in that. And I can tell you from my experience that, Chief Bell and Chief Miller did a great job of conserving that. And, there was trucks bought, but I have heard that there's been quite a few trucks added and no extra staffing.
Two-turn MVP says no unit at no unit at 4s. We need an EMS unit at 4s versus an aerial.
I can't say that again. I couldn't hear you.
So you can't hear me?
Barely.
Hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Two-turn MVP, a commenter on here says, no unit at 4s. We need an EMS unit at 4s versus an aerial.
Oh, I mean, I agree, because when 75% of your calls is EMS and they already have, from my understanding, a tower truck. So
yeah,
that's something that they have. Yes, wishes are great to have new. And once again, I am not a fireman.
Right.
I'm always going to stand up for EMS, but I know that I'm a fireman in the fact that I have certs, but I'm not a fireman.
Sure.
I don't, that part of it, I cannot speak on the expertise of it because I don't know. I do know that the decision was made to shut the tower down when EMS came in to move that staff over to the ambulances. And it has, I assume, stayed down. I don't know. But I know that even with, the guys working overtime, it was an issue with Meade and Burford that they would shut ambulances down. And that was a big complaint of whenever we were talking about Delaware County. It wasn't a ding on Delaware County. It was just, if you don't have the staff, you don't have the staff. So what they were doing, don't know if they're doing it now, is, they would shut an ambulance down.
Yeah.
Rather than, shutting a fire truck down. And once again, not saying that one is more important than the other, because I don't have the expertise, but I also will admit when I don't have the expertise. On the ambulance side, I feel like that, hey, when there's 75%, guesstimating ambulance calls, that should probably be the priority. But of course, I'm always going to advocate for EMS. So, and also we had plans in place, when we shut the tower down, or, not we, when the chief would shut the tower down, or even, they would shut down engine 4. There are other trucks, that, hey, if this call comes out, and then the question on the other side of that, devil's advocate, is, well, what happens if a big fire comes out? Well, typically, if a fire comes out on the south end, then the south end responds to it. So you still have the north end there, or vice versa. And then there's also a plan in place just in general that we've always talked about, is mutual aid. If something comes out, you can always call services in from other places. And that goes on the EMS side and the fire side. So it's just me expressing an opinion. I don't know the right answer. I just do feel like that staffing is something that should have been focused on from 19 till current.
Yeah, well, sure. Absolutely. Something that I've always wanted to, I think, ask you and have you talk about is this situation where back when you guys were first starting this program, Mayor Ridenhour, when he was a counselor, kind of blew you guys a lot of shit for how you went to the Board of Works before going to the council. Can you confirm or deny if that was a conversation that Ridenhour had with the chief of the department prior to him doing that?
From what all of the people involved said, it was Dan Ridenhour's idea, not of EMS, but how to backdoor the council and go to the Board of Works.
And are you aware if he said that the reason that wanted to happen was because he didn't want the council to have to make the decision because he was running for election?
From my understanding, and like I'm saying, I did not hear him say it directly.
Yeah.
Now, later on, he did allude, because I met with him at McDonald's one time to talk about an issue with someone that was running for office. And it was, he knew that if he supported EMS, he would not be elected. So he had to go against it until he got in. So this way, and he knew that if it didn't get done before he was elected, that it would not happen.
It wouldn't happen.
So that is why it was a push. Like I said, I never, I did not hear that directly from him. In talking about when I met with him and talked to him once, because he was not a fan of mine. If you remember, he wrote an article or put me that he had hired an attorney to find out if my hiring was legal. But it's funny, he never came out and said, hey, I found out that, oh, look, it's legal. Obviously it was legal, because then he ended up hiring me in.
Right.
But, it's just the point of little things, it's politics. It's frustrating. Yeah. But even back then, he talked about, he was certain that the ambulances were going to go, and that he knew that it was going to happen.
Yeah. Did you get your text message?
This is totally off subject. The things you're asking me are totally off subject from what you're talking about tonight. So
what do you mean? It all goes together. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
It sounds like are you being held hostage?
Yes, I am. No, I am not. It's just, it's hard to I'm trying to listen really closely.
Let me ask you this, and you can answer this if you wish to answer or not. But a commenter called Two Turn MVP says, R. Clark, did you experience any sexual harassment while there?
I received every kind of harassment while I was there.
I'm not laughing, but obviously I know you're right. Yeah. So, obviously you're long past this, and so you don't have to go into it, but can you just kind of maybe talk about that just for a minute? Give a little bit more into, when you say that, you took a lot of heat. You took a lot of heat before you were ever hired, when you were helping, because, all right, so to tell the story that people probably don't know. So you were originally, you've been an EMS paramedic on Delaware County EMS for a while. Then you're originally from Henry County, and you've done stuff in Henry County. You've done stuff in Rushville, and you were at the time the chief of the EMS program in Rushville, and they contacted you just at first you were just helping them build the program. And then at one point it was like, well, wait a minute, why don't we get her to come up here? And so it was kind of like an evolution, and you were taking shit from day one of even trying to help them.
Yeah, I was taking shit from you.
Yes, that's true.
You were my first experience with the APRA request was because of you.
Yes. Well, but so obviously after I came on board with it, you still, you dealt with listen, I'm just going to, I mean, there's people that were talking about like your personal life. There were people that were, I mean, just saying things and doing things that were just way out of pocket. And even as you were leaving, there were things that occurred that people were doing, like very, just crazy shit things. Like, you don't have to say who or whatever, but I had heard, and you can confirm or deny this if you know if this is true or not. At the point when you were leaving the department or whatever was going on there, did somebody actually break into your office, to your knowledge?
So that was not towards the end.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll tell the story. I mean, it's all truth. It's actually everything that I will say, and I'm not really trying to dog people out, but when I hear that this is continuing and that I had hoped that, with everything that was going on, I just hope that they just hated me and it wasn't everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that I was like, okay,
right.
it's just me. They don't like me. They don't like the way I do things. I brought you, whatever. So as people call me like, hey, you need to watch the show. Bilbrey's advertising, that he's going to post this or whatever. It's very frustrating and it's very disheartening to see that it's continued, that once I left, then they targeted someone else and, or then they do. And it's like, for instance, with the whole deal of, Danica, I won't speak on that part, but it's just frustrating because I'm like, she doesn't stand a chance either way. They're not going to accept her because of who she is. She's a girl.
Right. She's a woman.
And that frustrates me because she should at least be given a true opportunity. And just from a lot of the things, that I'm kind of, what you had stated about the calls, I don't know about that, but, some of the stuff, because this is what happens, when people don't like something, they call me and I'm like, hey, I'm not there anymore. Like, I don't know, but the things that people will complain on, it's not her ability to do the job. It's a lot of personal stuff too, so I just feel like that's unfair in that sense, but you know what? It goes with it. So I will tell you, because I know everybody does not want to hear my voice go on forever. So when Meade knew that he was going to be chief, we all knew behind the scenes, but it had not been officially put out there yet.
Yeah.
And Meade and I used to be offices next door to each other. He hung out with me every single day. And I kind of got off topic, but what I'm going to say is anything that I say has been named. It is in writing, under oath type thing in a federal complaint that is that part of it is whatever. It's done.
Yes.
But Meade called me one night, and Meade is known to everybody would come to work and be like, oh, who got the drunk Meade call last night? Because he would leave work, he would get drunk, and he would call people. So he called me one night and he's like, he had a nickname for me. I can't remember what it is. He'd call me the nickname and he'd say, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm going to be chief and I got this picture sent to me. And, as the chief, I had personnel files. I had a safe that had narcotics in my office, like the lock. So it was, like triple locked from the building, then into my office and then into the safe.
Sure.
And so it was kept locked, especially whenever I wasn't there. And he had a picture where someone had broken into my office because it's locked. So unless the only other people that had access to that was the battalion chiefs. And it was done on this specific turn that we keep getting talked about tonight. And it was Kevin Gibson that had sent him.
I was going to say, I've always heard that it was Kevin Gibson, which is the man that did the picture at the start of tonight that broke into the office. So you're saying that is correct?
Yep. So Kevin Gibson had sent this picture to Meade. Meade said, hey, it appears that the complaint has been made that you are taking drugs and giving them to your family. And I go, what the fuck are you talking about? And at first he didn't tell me about the picture. He just said, well, there's medication on your desk. And I knew exactly, because it's not like medication just hung out on my desk. We had recently got a new protocol for an antibiotic for open fractures. And so we obviously give things IV. We don't give oral medication.
Yes, sure.
Well, whenever I placed the first order, they sent me pill form. And so I had called the company and was like, hey, I need to exchange this out. And they were like, no, keep it, just dispose it. It's, the cost is like $5. It's not worth the shipping to send it back for us. we'll just send you the IV form. So it was up in an area of my desk for Tox Away Day, because people will bring in, like what we would turn in
Yes.
drugs of people bringing in. And so that also stayed either in my office or Mead's office. If he was there, he would take them. So it was, a couple places where to dispose of at a later date. So as soon as he said that, at that time, that was the only medication. So I looked back because I knew I wanted to see what day that it was mailed. You know what I mean? Like sent to us. And I even had the packing slip underneath it to show what that drug was, even though it said it on the bottle that it was ordered, through it. It's just documentation. You keep the paperwork. So, in this process, Mead's telling me, Rachel, we have to, everything, conduct unbecoming, everything is about the reputation of the fire department. We can't have rumors like this out there, da 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 da. So after I told him the story, he backed off. And I said, are you done? And he said, yeah. And because he kept saying, as I'm going to be the chief and I need to handle these things. And I said, okay. I go, so I want to know what you're going to do to Kevin Gibson for, even if he didn't break into my office, you need to be calling him if he's not the one to find out who sent him that picture, because track it back. Somebody broke in, somebody took pictures of things in my office.
Yeah, that's a major problem.
And you're telling me that the reputation of the fire department, well, the reputation of the fire department is we have firemen breaking into things. And how do I know he didn't steal something from my office?
Because here's the thing that I always looked at.
Was done.
Like it or not, you were an EMS chief. That was the name of your position. What did they look at you as, like a battalion chief, or what did they call that?
Well, it depended on who you talk to. Once again, Wilkins and Two-Turn made the statement. He denied it, but there was a lot of people that said that he was going to go at me and go at me and go at me till I couldn't take it anymore, or until someone told him to stop.
Yeah.
So they would make it very clear that they did not look at me as anything. They flat out would not. If I said something, they wouldn't listen. I will say that Eddie Bell and Miller, more so Al Richards, all of them, but they backed me.
Yes.
Mead and Burford did not back me. And this is a prime example. Burford was on a conference call, and he's the one who told me about it. There was a conference call. He had me come in and listen in his office, and Chris Short called me a fucking bitch. They didn't know that I was listening, but it was a morning conference call or the afternoon call, and I just happened to be there. And so Burford was like, hey, come in here and listen. They called me a fucking bitch. And Burford was like, did you hear that? He told me. But did nothing. He didn't report it up. He didn't hold him. Nobody held anybody accountable. The battalion chief on shift didn't hold it accountable. Burford was a lieutenant at this time. He was not.
Yeah, he wasn't.
A chief or a deputy chief.
Yeah.
But he witnessed it himself. And then he became part of the issue as well of, going out and trying to get people to make statements on me so he could get me out. And one of the people did say that, he was kind of talking about rallying them to make them believe that if they got rid of me, he would give them my job. So, whatever. It's fine. That's how it works.
Well, so from what I've heard from when I would contact people within the city administration, I was always told whether the firemen liked it or not, or whoever liked it or didn't like it, that more or less you were third in charge. It's not like you were out there punishing firemen or disciplining firemen or whatever, but that it was basically like you were the chief of the EM. I look at it like being, I don't know, like in the police department, you have patrolmen and you have detectives. They're all police, but they're doing different jobs. And you have a captain that's over the detectives. So it's kind of like you were in charge of the EMS. You reported, your direct supervisors were the deputy chief, the fire chief, and the mayor of Muncie. No one else was above you, correct?
Correct.
So as far as I'm concerned, whether the firemen or EMS people liked it or not, no one else there was above you. They weren't above you. You didn't answer to some battalion chief somewhere. You answered to the deputy chief, the fire chief, and the mayor of Muncie. So that, to me, explains what the situation was, and they may or may not have liked it, but that's what it was. And so that you know, because I know that you can't see this, a couple people have commented. Donald Watson
I can't see anything.
Donald Watson said Clark was a good EMS chief. And 2-turn MVP said she ran the EMS.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
Don Watson ran the state EMS certifications. He's the person that if we got complaints on, if we had any issues, that is who came knocking at my door.
Okay.
So that right there is that is a wonderful, wonderful compliment. So thank you, Don, because there was days I just felt like that I was drowning. So that is a true compliment, because this is the guy who dealt with every single ambulance EMS service in the state of Indiana.
Well, that's big. That's big. And thank you for watching, Donald. Thank you.
So
that's
it's
big
funny.
news.
He's a paramedic as well.
Okay.
And he gets it, and he's saying this, but then you have Dan Burford and Rob Mead, who were EMRs and thought I did a horrible job and weren't even EMTs.
Right. Yeah. See, you got to take, everyone's like, well, you got to look at who's saying this and all of that. And that is very true. But people out here are saying, well, why isn't Burford a good, Burford might be a great chief of the fire department, but there's a whole nother section of the fire department that has to be led, and it happens to do a majority of the calls. To me, I see the EMS side as being almost, to me, it's like a very important part of the fire department, but it looks like it's shit on and it's looked down upon. But it's like, this is a very important part, and the chief of the department doesn't even really have what's needed to be running this. And that's a very big problem to me.
And, I don't know if things were upgraded, but when we started out, we had a budget of like $350,000. It was insane, low. And that was before I actually got hired on, of telling Chief Bell how he could do it. Hey, you can actually, because it takes months to get billing money, and all of those things. Here's what you can do. You can actually get a lease, the ambulance, so your first payment isn't due for 6 months, and working ways to get it up and running. And then we bought refurb monitors, which are good. They have warranty, but they're a couple years old. It's ones that people get up, the people who have a lot of money. And the goal was, as the money started coming in, that we would buy new equipment. It was to get things going, and it was quality. But then again, after a couple years, now it's 4 years old. Whereas if we'd bought it new, it would have been only 2 years old or 5 years old, And, when Mead and Burford came in, there was new fire truck. The money, somebody just needs to pull the budget and see how much money was spent.
Yeah. Well, we're
Once
in budget
they
time,
came
so I'll be doing that soon.
And there was no new equipment coming in for EMS. Now, that could have all changed. Don't know. That would be a Wes Miller conversation or a Chief Burford conversation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of other things here real quick, and we'll get ready to wind down on you. First off, 2-turn MVP says she ran the EMS division, which is slightly above battalion chief, the equivalent to the deputy chief that runs the fire division. So yeah, that's kind of where I was in my line. Glenda Davis said, I believe you. Sorry you had to go through this. Jason White says Rachel was one of the best that I've got the opportunity to work for as a medic. So just another compliment there to you. And then I've got another thing here. So 2-turn MVP says Robin Smith is liable to give PO. She doesn't know what route to administer. I don't know what that means exactly. Maybe you can. What's that mean? PO.
Read that again.
Robin Smith is liable to give PO. She doesn't know what route to administer.
Oh, giving PO is orally. So I'm going to say that would involve something about not giving medication the right way.
Okay, back when we were talking about the pills. When you were talking about the pills then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I will offer up, just as because I've watched you this evening. And I'm going to give a couple other examples of just the frustration of and this is not, and I'm sure people are going to say, she's just pissed off. No, Actually, I'm in a much better job. I have the best job in the world. I have the best career in the world. Um, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I'm finally able to spend time with my family, not working all the time. Um, but here's some of the barriers, because you had talked about that. It's like with this girl, I'm so glad that she stepped forward and said something. Um, because, and it's not just even, I kind of alluded that it was females, but just to show you the mentality. Um, I came into work one day, and there was a guy that worked for us part time, and he actually runs a nonprofit where they supply ambulances to third world countries.
Oh yeah.
And he had asked me, "Hey, I have?" They were up for FDIC, so it would have been 2022 that summer. Can they come up and ride? Now he was a fireman at Fort Wayne, but because of the way Muncie ran, he wanted him to experience Muncie as well.
Okay.
Absolutely. We love riders. These are paramedics. One was a nurse, one was a flight medic. These are highly skilled people from Mexico. I came in to a the fire investigator at the time, the chief investigator, that had said, "Hey, this complaint happened. I got a phone call," because they would never call me, um, and things like that. Of It was actually Pat Hose, who was up at Sixes, and we had and I feel like I'm dogging him, but I mean, just these are the big topics that came up
No,
that I
yeah,
really,
I've heard, I know where you're going with it. Yeah, keep going.
um, and he had apparently overnight called the union rep, threatened to call a lawyer. And this is all secondhand, what was reported to me, that he did not want those people in his ambulance or in his station, that he couldn't even leave his wallet sitting around. So I typed up a complaint, turned it in. It was Mead and Burford. And I said, "Hey, this is a problem." And I very sternly got an email back that told me it was not my problem. And I said, "It is my problem, because my job is to advocate for the citizens and the patients of this city. And if this is the behavior of how do I feel that they're going to treat the Hispanic community?
Yeah, I
This is
mean,
obviously a
so
concern." And nothing was done. Nothing happened.
so making sure everyone understands what's happening here. You're saying that you were contacted by an individual who you guys dealt with and who was known to the fire department, and he wanted to know if some riders could come up and ride and see what it was like in Muncie. But these were not just Joe Blows off the street. These were people who were in the first responder field. They were nurses and EMTs or medics or whatever, but they were
Yes.
nurses and medics from Mexico.
Yes.
And that a fireman, a Muncie fireman, Pat Hose, made the comment that he did not want them up in the area, up in their stations and up in the trucks and ambulances, because he didn't want those people up here. He was afraid he wouldn't be able to leave his wallet laying around. It's like, first of all, why are you leaving your wallet hanging around? But that is a problem, because those are very, respectable people, whatever race they are, nurses and EMTs or whatever, and he didn't want them around. That's exactly the question, is what happens when you roll up to put out a fire of a Hispanic family? Are you not trying as hard to put, to say, what, that would cause me to have a very severe issue, because I would not, I'd want to know is, we have a large Hispanic population here in Muncie. What the hell?
I mean, and I've got a million stories like that. Just shows the character and the things that also Burford was aware and Mead was aware, and I believe he admitted it. But Jason Jackson, when I was down, I don't know if most people don't know this. I don't know why they would, but I actually was in Hurricane Ian. Was down in Fort Myers Beach, and my family thought I was dead for like a day or two.
I remember that.
When all of this happened, and this is also in writing, Burford had stated that he offered to buy me flight tickets home and that I refused. Well, that is absolutely a lie. And he actually was down there telling me, because I called him, keeping him updated until we lost phone service. And he was like, man, I'm so jealous. That is my one. That's my bucket list, is I want to ride out a hurricane, blah, 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 blah. But Jason Jackson, when they were talking about me being in the hurricane, he said, good, I hope her and her kid die. I mean,
I remember that.
and so I got a phone call from more than one person who all heard it, and they were beside themselves. It was reported, nothing happened. That, and these stories are, this is not, I mean, I literally could give you every other day something happening like this. It
Yeah.
was not unknown, but whatever. Like I said, could have been just me. Don't care. I mean, I'm past that. It just kind of shows that as you're talking about this tonight, that this is definitely a common problem. It seems like that it was happening then. It seems to still be happening, and that's frustrating.
Yeah. Their slip is showing, and something needs to be tucked back in. They need to get it seems like something is out of control and out of balance, and there are some major issues within the fire department. And here's what the issue is. If you let shit like this fester, it turns into situations like on the police department where, you go from having little comments here and there, people doing this, to someone's fighting this person or beating this suspect in the head, and it turns into a major problem. So we're at the point where it's like this stuff's starting to boil over, and now they're needing to get a handle on this from being the merit commission, the chief, the deputy chief, and the mayor of Muncie all need to get a handle on this because, I was told by another, again, I'm talking directly to that individual. There was a man that was involved in all this today who told me, oh yeah, email Burford. He'll talk to you. He's good to talk to you. I've emailed Burford quite a few times in the last year, and I think I've gotten a response or two back. He just normally does not respond. And that's very unfortunate. So, I challenge that individual's comment that he's good to talk to or is willing to talk to me, because that's not been what I've experienced. And so, I think this is a problem from leadership down.
I thought of one other thing that I wanted to give you an example on. I'm not trying to hijack your show.
No, you're fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So you would hit on just different people getting treated differently when it comes to discipline. And I'm going to give what I feel like is a good example. Do you remember when it was really, really popular, everybody would say your mom? Look, what are you doing later, Mom?
Yep, okay. Your mom.
So, Meade was a chief. Burford was the deputy chief. The people I would go to lunch with, the chiefs at the time, and people that I had like a pretty good relationship, like Mark DeWitt, the training officer, who was also, like a battalion chief rank. I would, if they, we always joked around when people were around and they'd say something, I'd be like, your mom. Okay. Now, people may think that's horrible. And was it inappropriate? Possibly. Don't know. But I can tell you that in the federal complaint, hear all of these other things, whoever was talking to you, a man, I assume that works within the fire department, I don't know, that's kind of justifying this. And then you were talking about the union president kind of justifying it, of this Kevin Gibson's behavior, actually taking a picture of his private area, if that happened. That is not, I'm not saying it's not a big deal because they obviously suspended him or whatever from what you say, but all of these other behaviors that weren't suspension, that was one of the things in the federal complaint. That is the one bad thing that they had. Well, they had like 3 bad things to come back and say that I did horribly. That was one of them. So in Meade and Burford's eyes, they felt like me saying your mom was totally over the top, inappropriate. Now, they never said anything when I was doing it, but it was after I made a complaint. Then they brought that up.
Funny.
So that tells me that their standard is that your mom is inappropriate. But a picture or saying that about people being in the station or people breaking into my office, that's all acceptable. Yeah. Wishing I was dead and my kid was dead, that's acceptable. Mm-hmm. But saying your mom is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So that is just, to me, a prime example of how things are treated differently.
Yeah, that's interesting. And of course that goes on. And we've got a couple people that's commented here. 3-turn MVP. Real quick, I have to answer this. Burford doesn't want to talk to me because whatever you discuss will end up back to my sources. Bro or sis, I guess. I don't know. You must be confused. That's not how information travels. Information comes from my sources to me. I'm not talking to Burford to run back and tell someone. I'm asking Burford, who's supposed to be a leadership position of a department, about things that are going on, that he is a public servant getting paid tax dollars. And I'm talking to him about the leadership of his department, who are also people being paid tax dollars. And if that man is incapable of communicating to me or anyone else in the media, or if you, hey, let's shit on me. Let's say I'm a nobody and I'm just a person, just a citizen. Well, if Burford cannot communicate with me because he's too afraid or doesn't want something to be, if he's saying something that he's afraid getting back to anybody, he probably shouldn't be saying it. But if he's not smart enough to sit down and have an adult conversation, that's on him, not me. So that's that.
I mean, he may have great reasoning for all of the things that I've brought up of why they've not brought in other people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't keep up on it. Don't, I mean, I won't say I don't care, because I do care about Muncie. I mean,
absolutely.
I really thought that I would retire from there. I loved what the city did of bringing the service, not coming out of tax dollar money. And it was a great thing. So it's very disheartening to hear that it seems to be backsliding. I hate that.
Well, that sucks. Hey, before we go, did you get your text message?
No, I've been talking to you.
Can you get your text message real quick?
Hang on. Let me figure out.
Because you have one of the stupid iPhones.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hold on. I just broke everything. So, okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in and talking with us and giving people information. I've wanted to get you on the show for a very long time, but you've been afraid.
And also, it wasn't even just afraid too. I will say, I mean, they wanted to make my life miserable, and I will never be the same person for what they did to me.
Oh no,
and
you're definitely broken.
I've told a million people. I have the letter from the EEOC where they backed me to sue, and I decided not to sue.
Yeah.
But and the only reason that the EEOC backs people to sue is if they feel that they are absolutely going to win and have the right. So everything that I had was backed up, and everything that they said was we were able to dispute.
Well, so, and 3-turn MVP. It's really strange that 2-turn MVP has been on here talking and has been very proactive and very cool. And you've gotten some good compliments from high up people in the state and all this. And I thought 2-turn would be kind of the asshole, but they were cool. But we got 3-turn MVP that's in here, and they're the ones that are like, nah. And so they're in here saying Rachel's irrelevant. She was fired for not showing up. She's got no leg in this. But I want to say, so people are aware, what Rachel is saying, when you're fired for something like this, if someone goes to the EEOC and has them look and see if this was handled properly or whatever, they do not, normally they'll respond back to you and say, well, this or this or this, but they don't actually back your claim. Very few and far between do they actually back someone's claim. And I have seen this, and I have seen this with my own eyes. They backed Rachel's claim. And generally what happens is when someone turns something into the EEOC, they can turn it in, and if they don't back you, you can still sue and you can still win. But if they do back you and you sue, it gives you kind of a much greater leg to stand on. And so the fact that the EEOC backed Rachel and her statement and what she said happened, that's a really, 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 really big thing. And so that's important. People can like it or not like it or whatever and think that she's.
Can I respond?
But yeah, sure.
On the 3, you said it was 3-turn MVP.
Yeah, it's real strange. 2-turn's been the cool, and 3-turn has been, doesn't like you.
Oh, that sucks because I always like most of the people on 3. I never really had issues with 3-turn people, so that kind of sucks. But anyways, am I irrelevant? Yeah, I've not been there a long time. I mean, it is irrelevant. But I will say this, dogging me for years, I've kept quiet because my story, it didn't matter. I was not working there. It was irrelevant. Take note, the only time that I stepped in and was willing to talk is because this has happened to someone else.
Yeah.
So if I need to be a voice so that no other person goes through what I went through, and then, they turned on Delaney, and I believe that he will 100% come out. I'm not trying to bring him up out on top of all of this. It is, I did this because it's happening to someone else. And it's apparent, it's very clear that it's not stopped. So if I need to just let people know that this is a bigger deal, it's not just this one instance, and give a little background that's it. I am irrelevant. I was there years ago, but yet it's still happening. So I've moved on in life. I've healed. Why have they not changed?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
We all make mistakes and we all learn what we can do moving forward to be better. And I feel like that I've moved forward. I've been better. I've not I've been I don't blast them. I don't say anything. I keep quiet.
Yeah.
I just mind my own business. But tonight, when you ask, I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting down here at my lake house and I'm like, you know what? I will say something because it sucks. This girl should not be catching any flack. And I don't know that she is. But for the fact that people are making excuses that you talk about, if it's true, on what was meant for someone else, it doesn't matter. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And clearly this administration has not done anything of what they could have done better and what they've learned. And I will tell you just another example of how things were, another example of how this administration does not do things properly. Do you know how I found out? They say that I quit coming to work. No, I was in a hurricane on September 28th. I was out could not get back to work. But here's the fun fact. At the fire department, and I was under the fire department rules, I had unlimited sick time. So as long as I had a doctor's note, I could have taken off I could still be on sick time and not be penalized.
Well, yeah, there's lots
so
of
it wasn't a matter of issue of not coming to work.
Yeah.
I had unlimited PTO or sick days. So that disputes that. But do you know how I found out that they had fired me?
How did you find out that they had fired you? I know,
this
but
is just a prime example of how they don't have their shit together. I got a phone call from a city councilman who saw my job posting on the city website.
Listen to what she's saying there, people. That's so hilarious to me. I mean, it's horrible. It's not. It's just that. And
I don't know if that councilman wants to step forward and say anything, to back it up. But yeah, I actually was down at my lake house because the whole thing of they told me, not to come back to work, whatever. Never told me I was fired. No, actually, let me backtrack that. My doctor took me off.
Yeah.
And I tried to file for FMLA. He said, you're filing for FMLA because of everything that was going on with the hurricane. And also, I didn't realize it, but whenever I came back, I got the phone call while I was actually coming back about what Jackson said about me hoping to die and all of the rumors that were flying around. And I was devastated, dude. It rocked my world. And so the doc was like, listen, your hair is literally falling out. You are not, I want to put you on a medication. And this is me telling my personal life. And I mean, it's opening me up for people to slam me, but I'm always going to tell the truth and be open about it. And people can dog me out if they want. But he said, I don't want you driving emergency vehicles with a medication that you've not taken before.
Right.
So I want you to go off until we can kind of see how you act. Okay. So I've got a doctor's note and I've got text messages. All this is all in the federal complaint to show that what they're saying. So fun fact also, whoever is saying this, clearly the administration has talked and they weren't supposed to, because that's my personal information.
Yeah.
I can tell my story if I want to, but they can't tell my story.
Right.
So once again, how things are not being done properly.
Yeah.
And I was actually, it came down on a weekend, was sitting outside, and I got a phone call
No!
from
Hold on, you broke up.
the
Come back.
councilman and said, "Hey, did you quit the fire department?" And I said, "No." And I go, "I mean, I'm off," and went through all of that. And they go, "Well, I'm sitting here looking at your job posting." It was, I think, 2 weeks later, I got served by a sheriff of where they had terminated me. No reasoning, no anything, just your services are no longer needed.
That
And
is
that's how
so
I found out.
insane.
Didn't mail me, didn't call, but that also was, I had no authority to suspend people. They wouldn't, that's above me. But it's funny because Meade and Burford would make the decision to fire people. And then Meade would say, "Well, you need to call and tell them." Because they wouldn't, and then they would send a standardized, the same letter to everyone.
Yeah.
And okay, now I am hijacking your show. Since this 3-term MVP wants to kind of blow it out there, and I'm also not going to get into it. I'm just going to say one other thing, and then I promise I'm done. Of when it, you know what? I'll leave it be for now. Go on.
What? Go on what? No, say what you're going to say. Or wait, hold on. You want to do it like this. So really quickly, because we are close to the end here. We weren't originally planning to do this. And if you guys noticed how when she first came on, she was like kind of like boxed up and wouldn't say much. And then now you notice she's probably out there smoking a cigarette. She's got 2 or 3 lit and she's got real into it. And she's talkative. I figure probably now is as good a time. And this is going to drive people crazy, absolutely crazy. So we've been talking about this. Or I've been talking for the last little bit about this new show that I'm going to start kicking off. And it's going to not be a political show. It's going to be all this other stuff. And I've been kind of hiding who the co-host was going to be. I guess now's as good a time. Glenda says, please invite her back. Well, Glenda, it's interesting that you say that because I'm going to put this thing up on the screen and show you. Here it comes. This is going to drive people crazy. Here is this thing I'm putting up here. This is the YouTube page for the Bilbrey and Clark show that will start airing Saturdays at 3 p.m. It's not a live show. It's not going to be a live show. It's going to be recorded and dropped live, and it will be just like regular YouTube videos. And it's going to be myself, Kristopher Bilbrey, and Rachel Clark, the lady that's currently on the phone right now. So for everybody that's wanted to know, this is who is going to be on the show. And if you are interested in her conversation that we've had tonight, or interested in hearing more, it's going to not be politics. It's not going to always be the Muncie Fire Department. It's mostly, we're just going to be talking about random life things that are going on, current news, and going back and forth, and hopefully offering something that the listeners will like to hear. It will be very interesting. And there will be a segment on how to make homemade Twinkies. Yes, absolutely. We got to do something to prove to her mother that she's not a loser and the people of the Muncie Fire Department, I guess. So, if you want to go ahead now and go go subscribe to the YouTube page, there will not be anything there until around September 27th, but no relation to Dustin. No relation to Dustin. Will there be a segment on baby bird care? I'm sure we'll do that. Baby bird care. There is also a, let me show you here just so you guys can see what's going on. There is also a Facebook page, which you guys can go and like if you're inclined to do so. That's the Facebook page. And we also have a Twitter page. So it's going to be much easier than getting to this show, actually. The links to basically everything is the YouTube is, if you just go to YouTube and type in the search at Bilbrey Clark Show. Very easy. Bilbrey Clark Show. Bilbrey Clark Show. It's 3 words all together. At Bilbrey Clark Show. So that's there. This is her. She sounds like she has better verbal communication skills than Dan. Well, that's that's not hard to do. So, Rachel, do you want to say anything to the people that I've just announced that? We were going to keep it secret for longer, but I was like, hell, might as well go forward. Oh, hold on. I've completely taken her off. Hold on. No one's been able to hear her. Hold on 1 second. Crap, she can hear me, but no one can hear her. Have you been talking?
Is this how our show's going to go? Is it freaking mute me?
I muted you. I've been muting you since No, it'll be Saturday, September 27th. Saturday, September 27th. So you want to say anything there, Rachel Clark?
We're going to need the viewers to put a timer because apparently you're going to accidentally mute me quite a bit so that we get equal talk time and you just don't hear yourself. We're going to need somebody to keep count of that time.
Well, it won't be like this. You'll see her on screen. She will actually be on screen. And so that will that'll be there, and it won't be live. Like, we might do a live thing every now and then, but it will mostly be recorded.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I need to go back on, because this is kind of weighing on my heart of just talking. I feel like I've slammed the fire department. And, the reason why I specifically name names is because 95% of that fire department are some of the most outstanding good people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yes.
They will do anything. I mean, they will literally put their lives on the line. They will do amazing things and go above and beyond. I've seen them trim trees of people who didn't have it. I can't say enough it gives me cold chills talking about watching these guys fight fire, take ambulance calls. And they will literally, when I talk about, them working 4 days at a time, they will kill themselves to serve the people of this community. So I don't want to take away, and make this all bad, because these are some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
It is unfortunately falls on the leadership. And I'm not saying, well, I used to think Dan Burford was the greatest guy in the world. And, it just seeing the underhanded, but, that's politics. The leadership, that's the problem. And it goes like I agree with you. It goes all the way up to Dan. And I don't want people to just think that Muncie Fire is a piece of shit. No, they're 95% of these people are some of the greatest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I can't say that enough. I trust most of them with my life, and everybody has bad ones. It's just the frustration of that this administration is doing nothing when they are identifying it, seeing it, and not doing it. So I hope that everybody takes the way that these are good people. And so when you see these guys out, thank them. They're very good at what they do, and they love serving Muncie.
Yeah. It really does suck that, like, what the deal is, because they are good people, and it's not these people. It's 98% of them are good people. So that sucks. So yeah, that's that. Well,
can I hang up now?
Give me 1 second. I can hang you up.
If everybody can hear me, good night, everybody. Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah, and you'll see them when? When will you see them?
The
Live
day
on
before my 50th birthday.
Yeah, the day before your 50th birthday. It's hard for the administration to address every issue when they keep having to deal with lawsuits and lawyers. That is the 3-turn. I'll tell you, yeah, that is definitely true. That's why they need to deal with the issues before they become lawsuits and lawyers. If they train their paramedics better, their EMT people, their firemen, if they have train their firemen to where they need to get out and help the paramedics when they need it, and they train their people to give airways better and to not to kill patients and things like that, then they don't have those lawsuits. If they train their firemen and their EMS personnel to quit sexually harassing each other, then they don't deal with those lawsuits. If they would terminate people the proper way, then they don't have those lawsuits. So yeah, you are absolutely right. It's really bad when shit's going so crazy that you're dealing with internal issues and the day-to-day along with long-term lawsuits. But it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. I feel like taking care of one would take care of the other. So, you're right. I will agree with you there. So, well, Rachel, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. We'll have more for everybody, different from this, happier or maybe less happy, on Saturday, the 27th of September. We'll see how much that drives everybody crazy. Thank you for calling in, and I will get a hold of you.
Hey, have a good night, everybody.
Yep, thank you. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've got the big news there. There it be. That's the big shocker. Maybe a deeper psychological evaluation is called for. The times are twisted. Maybe that is very, very true. That could be very, 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 very true. So that's going to do it for us tonight. I am going to be looking deeper into this and bringing more information to you. I think we've got issues that we have to deal with. Is it true that Ridenauer is really looking at putting together another bot agreement to do another $9 million fire station in the city of Muncie? If so, that's completely crazy. We need to talk about this. And there are more issues within the fire department that needs to be brought forward. And look, I don't wish anything bad for anyone there. Like Rachel said, 99% of them are great people, love them, and they do great work, and they'll continue doing great work. They just need to handle the issues. And look, I want Burford to be the best chief he can be. I question what his experience is with the EMS and how he can really lead them to the fullest with the knowledge that he has or doesn't have of that. And I'm hoping that he picks up his game. That's, if you're going to be there, get better. There's nothing that stops him from doing better. So why, let's have him do better and maybe become better, and maybe everything will be wonderful, but I don't know. So time will tell. And yeah, I've been asking them, and they're just, that's done. They're done with that. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, crazy shit. So yeah, you're right, Stumblefoot. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that'll be great. And we will see you tomorrow. We've got a big week of shows planned the rest of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got Catherine that'll be coming on. I don't know if Catherine's coming on tomorrow or Catherine's coming on Wednesday. I forget, but I've got a big meeting in Alexandria that I will be at on Wednesday, and that's going to be a big deal. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about from Henry County, Blackford County, and on. So stay tuned. Thank you all for tuning in, and subscribe, do all that shit. Hit the like on your way out. We will see you next time, I guess. So until then, God bless. Have a good rest of your evening. Have a great start of the work week, and we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.